In the summer of last year, I got bored and stupidly messed around with some occult books. I read out a satanic incantation, and something terrible happened. I ended up in hell. In trade for my freedom, I promised Satan that I would review 2 films of his choice. Satan later returned, under the guise of a strange voice, and ordered me to review Lady Death. Things carried on as normal soon after, until he recently came back and demanded me to review Dante's Inferno. I hope he pisses off after this one.
I sense a great evil is coming. On my way.
Kame, hame, ha! Psh, psh, yeah! Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. So, the film I'm going to review in this episode has some really interesting source material. Let's first discuss its earliest inspiration, the Divine Comedy, an epic poem by the Italian poet Dante that's separated into 3 segments: Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Now, many have called this poem a piece of classic literature, but others consider it to be offensive because of certain parts of its content. Yeah. However, there's no denying that it's definitely influenced many people, including filmmakers, artists, and even video game creators. That's right, its first segment was actually adapted into a best-selling video game.
I've played this game before. I've not completed it, but what I've played so far has been exciting, exhilarating, and even a bit creepy. It's a heart-pounding and fun game.
An animated adaptation of this video game was released at the exact same time. Slick marketing, guys. So, this film is going to be the subject of today's review.
Dante's Inferno is an animated action horror fantasy about a crusade knight called Dante, who has led a life of committing evil actions. Beatrice, the woman he loves, makes a wager with Lucifer, claiming that her soul is his if Dante betrays her. She is murdered and discovers that Dante slept with another woman, so she belongs to Lucifer and is set to become his bride. Dante must travel through the many levels of hell to rescue Beatrice and defeat Lucifer. Along the way, he is confronted with demons from his past and dangerous monsters. Now, the most notable aspect of this film is its constant changes of designs and art styles. Every few segments, the look of the characters change in style and appearance. So, one moment the film looks like a Western animation you'd see on TV, then segments later, it'll look like an anime movie. Characters are altered in major ways too. They could be blonde for one segment, then bald and bearded the next. While it is fun to see all these different art styles in one movie, it is very jarring to watch so much change every 10 or 15 minutes. It's a lot to ask an audience to readjust themselves to major changes like this. Altering the visual identity of a character every couple of scenes can create confusion.
I mean, imagine if halfway through Toy Story, they randomly took off Woody's hat, gave him a beard, an eye patch, long ginger hair, and just a loincloth to wear, with no explanations given. Wouldn't you raise questions? Like, is that Woody or someone else? If it is Woody, then what happened to his eye, and why is he suddenly dressed like Tarzan? So yeah, it's interesting to see a movie take on loads of different art styles, but they cause problems. They create inconsistencies and make it difficult to recognize characters, particularly characters that only pop in now and again.
This film isn't the Animatrix or Memories, it's not a collection of stories, it's one whole connected narrative. So constantly changing the styles and designs of the film is obviously going to cause some problems. However, the whole movie is visually striking thanks to some vivid imagery. For a film set in hell, there are some very pretty and colourful things to look at. It's clear that the directors knew how to have fun with a visual medium, because they laced the film with a variety of vibrant colours, inventive designs, and wild effects that are very eye-catching. This movie also does a decent job of capturing the atmosphere of hell. Seeing as some of the film has Dante wandering around, we are given a chance to let the setting sink in. The film paints a clear and large picture of hell that's chilling to experience. The world of hell is threatening, haunting, and full of various gruesome content. Every corner has a twisted set piece, each background is surreal and beyond the realms of normal. Dante's Inferno presents a colourful, detailed, and immersive vision of hell. My biggest problem with the film is that it hasn't escaped the medium that inspired it. What do I mean? Well, the structure of the film is too much like a video game. The character of Virgil is less of a movie role and more like a video game tutorial guide. He's just there to provide exposition. Most of the film follows a pattern too. It goes like this. Virgil explains the level of hell, Dante fights its inhabitants, and we get a flashback. Rinse and repeat until the finale. It all feels like a video game structure, which would work if we were players, but we're not. We're an audience, we're watching this movie, not playing it. This kind of framework is used for video games. Not all of them, of course, but it's a storytelling format that's better suited for games because they are an interactive medium. This title has no option of interactivity, so it's less entertaining because we're basically watching someone play a game. When someone puts on a movie DVD, they don't want to start watching a YouTube Let's Play. If that's what they wanted, then they would have gone on YouTube and typed in Let's Play Dante's Inferno. Films and video games are two separate mediums that rely on different methods to tell their stories. In addition, the fight scenes are way too fast and brief, which makes a lot of the action feel underwhelming. I'm not saying that the battles should have all been really long and epic, but they should have been drawn out enough to help us feel invested. It takes out potential drama if the fight flies by. Sometimes our protagonists don't have to be saintly heroes. They can be dark figures or villains, as long as they have something interesting to offer. Dante is a man who is haunted by his mistakes, and is now realizing the consequences. He has murdered many, betrayed the woman he loved, and committed atrocious actions in the name of God. What makes him entertaining to watch is his fight for redemption. Despite what evil he's committed, Dante still has some good in him that he needs to unlock. He has to develop a conscience. In order to be forgiven, Dante must admit to his mistakes and accept that he did wrong, while battling monsters on his own. We're watching a man having his physical and emotional endurance tested. Beatrice is pretty much trapped for most of the movie. Sure, she does put up a fight, but she's technically very powerless until Dante can rescue her. She does get a chance to become powerful during the semi-finale, but this is a brief and rushed sequence that flies by, like most set pieces in the film. She doesn't have much to offer as a character. She's just a heartbroken damsel in distress. Virgil, like I said, is more of a tutorial guide than a fully developed character. He's sort of a mentor for Dante, but their relationship is more like a tour guide and tourist than a teacher and student bond. He has an important role, but he's not that fun or likeable because he's not an organic character. Lucifer is threatening and powerful, but what makes him so engaging is seeing how much fun he's having. He really enjoys teasing Beatrice as he plays tricks on her or finds ways to inventively kill her over and over and over again in the realm of hell. He's certainly more active and creative than the Lucifer in Lady Death, who sat on his big red arse all day. Now, because the look of the film changes so often, I'm going to analyse the animation quality for each art style choice. The opening of the film, plus the segments of the arrival, have a very lush look to them. The movements are soft and gentle. They're not incredibly fluid or highly expressive, but they do look somewhat pretty in a subtle way. They are supported with some strong lighting too, like natural moonlight or a golden tint. The end of the arrival and the segment of Limbo are some of the most beautiful parts of the film. The animation looks fluid and smooth. Everything moves in a graceful, pretty and elegant way, but there are some striking graphic images spliced in too to mix things up. The segments of lust, gluttony, greed and anger rely heavily on speed lines to create the illusion of fast actions. Now, I know this is recognised as a stylistic choice in anime, but it just looks cheap and tacky to me, because it's a lazy technique, especially for a big feature-length movie. You'd expect better standards from something of this scale. The segment of greed also clearly doesn't understand the importance of weight in animation, because it animates a very large pot-bellied man with nimble and light movement, which makes it hard to believe in his heavy weight. However, those same segments happen to have the best animated Dante. I mean, out of all the designs, his actions, gestures and expressions are the most readable, because they're so vivid, strong and clear. His design has the most personality and energy thanks to his character animation. The segments called City of Dis, Heresy and Violence have very bold and refined designs, but the animation is so weak. These segments rely a lot on close-ups of faces, which implies that maybe the animators couldn't be bothered for some shots and didn't want to move the bodies. It's unlikely that these close-ups are for the purpose of showing facial expressions, because the faces are lifeless and cold. The characters' expressions are either wooden or limited, which is a very bad thing because these segments have some of the most emotional scenes in the film. Yes, Dante sheds some tears in one scene, but he looks like a crying robot because his expressions are so limited. The segment of fraud is certainly the most colourful out of all the parts in the movie. Its choice of colours are vibrant and attractive. The animation does its job, but it's nothing highly impressive or amazing. The only problem with it is that Dante is way too over the top. This segment's Dante pulls some of the goofiest and ugliest looking faces, which makes him appear very silly, like a Looney Tune. The final segment, Treachery, has a very pretty background. That's about it. Like the previous segment, its animation isn't anything fancy or special. It just looks like it's moving and does what it needs to do. It doesn't strike up strong emotions, and I just don't have that much to say about it. Graham McTavish plays Dante. His delivery is fueled with passion, aggression, and a string of bitter emotions. He is capable of sounding disgruntled or angry, as well as heartfelt or confident.
Who are you that comes here before your time?
If I come, I do not remain. But I know you, hell dog, filthy as you are. You were Filippo Argente in life.
Come down, Dante, and face your own enemy!
Let them down, rip you to shreds, wretch! Great Virgil, lead me into the Inferno, I beg of you, please. I must save Beatrice, even if it means my death.
Beatrice is voiced by Vanessa Branch. She does a good job of sounding like a wounded soul with a little bit of bite still in her. Her performance is solid and emotive.
Please, Lord, forgive me of my transgressions. Save me from this horrible torment. Please, I beg of you.
Steve Blum provides the voice of Lucifer. Blum is possibly the biggest name in the voice acting industry right now, and it's no surprise. His performance in this film is intimidating and creepy, but also energetic and highly expressive. Blum seems to be having lots of fun with every line he reads.
There is nothing you can do to hurt me, child. What you perceive of me is a literal shadow of my former self. But you can die 1,000 deaths by my will.
Peter Jessup voices Virgil. He sounds like he's doing an impression of Alec Guinness in Star Wars, which is suitable because his character's supposed to be a mentor figure, so it kind of works.
I will guide you, but you must put aside all division of spirit and gather your soul against all fear.
I fear nothing.
Then proceed.
There's also some great, well-known, renowned voice actors in the supporting cast too, like Kevin Michael Richardson, who effectively lends his distinct booming voice.
Turn back. There is no place for you here. Not yet, oh mortal.
Plus, the always wonderful Mark Hamill, who is convincingly sleazy and nasty as Dante's abusive dad.
I knew I'd have to watch you. Now tell me where you've hidden it, woman, before I throttle you dead.
The music for this film is decent. It's okay. It's full of majestic orchestral pieces that sound biblical in scale thanks to its ominous choirs. There's also loads of spooky dark ambience that supports the disturbing atmosphere of hell. In addition, the more sensitive scenes are given some soft, light pieces that aid the sentiment. However, all three of the creative styles kind of sound the same. I mean, all the sentimental tracks are similar, all the symphonic pieces are all alike, and all the dark ambience sounds the same. They're all good compositions, don't get me wrong, but the composer doesn't seem to be having much fun with these separate styles.
To conclude, Dante's Inferno is a decent movie that effectively explores a character's guilt and redemption. It's got striking visuals, a really fun villain, great voice acting, and a chilling atmosphere. Ooh. However, its constant art style changes can make things confusing. Plus, the fight scenes are often underwhelming, and most of the movie feels more like a video game than an actual animated film. Despite these flaws, I actually enjoyed it. It's fun for what it is. I'm going to give it 3 strawberries out of 5. Now, if some of you are still wondering whether this film is your cup of tea, then consider this. If you enjoyed such titles as Lady Death, Dominator, or the original video game, then you may get something out of this film. I've been Jambareeqi. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, then please click like below to let me know. I also encourage you to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, plus subscribe to my channel. Okay, Satan, I've reviewed Dante's Inferno. Are you happy now? Are you gonna leave me alone?
You're a fool, Mr. Jambareeqi.
Fool? What do you mean?
Well, you seem to be under the assumption that this whole deal was a simple process, a harmless transaction to help you stay out of hell. No, this was all a ruse. You see, there's a prophecy in hell that goes like this. If a critic reviews 2 films of Satan's choice, then Satan will gain the power of the Golden Devil.
What have I done?
That's right, you're a dumbass! I can already feel the power building within me.
Don't do anything! Stop! Don't move!
Now that I am the Golden Devil, no one can stop me!
Hi, I'm Sean. How can I help?
Ooh, fresh meat. No! Keep that away from me!
He's gone. Whoa! Did you kill him?
Yes, I did.
And you are?
I'm Mr. Penny Dreadful, the local paranormal investigator.
Paranormal investigator? I didn't even know you had one of those.
Well, you do now, my friend.
Oh, fantastic. Well, cheers, because I had no chance against him. I'm just an internet reviewer. I'm not exactly built for combat.
Okay, my friend.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. And I shall be now taking my leave.
Well, that was weird. In the next episode, folks, Astro Boy.